so that was all about nomenclature. We did discuss about the rules of naming an organism, but we have to remember, we need to know the basis that before naming an organism, we need to identify the organism. We need to know what are the structures, what are the qualities, what are the external characteristics of an organism. Then only we'll be able to name that organism. So this identification which is there, it is very important before you name an organism. Okay, I'll discuss in detail because it's a part of a topic which we'll be discussing today. Okay. So we'll start with the next topic, that is classification. Okay, as I said in this chapter, living world, we will be seeing the members of the living world, how they are classified, how they are categorized. Okay, so that's why we have this topic today in this chapter, that is classification. Now, it is very difficult to study each and every organism or every member of biodiversity. It would create a lot of problem. So to reduce this difficulties, or to make our work easier, we need to classify. Okay, so we have seen various groups, various classifications. When I say plants, okay, I can guarantee that you must have thought different kinds of plants. Okay, when I say animals, you will think various animals. Now in plants, if I say herbs, now your thinking will now be more classified. Okay, plants in herbs. Or if I say shrubs, now more. Okay, so it becomes easier because when I say plants, you will think various examples. Like I want you all to guess a particular plant. I just say plants, it will be very difficult, right? I'll give you more and more easier clues, more and more classified things. I need a shrub, okay, or I need a herb, or I need a big plant I'm talking about. Then you can think, you can visualize, or you can guess what I'm talking about, right? Then that is how even studying the members of the plant kingdom would be easier if we classify it. Okay, so that is why classification is important, and the scientific term of the classified things or the categories is called as taxa. Okay, the singular is called as taxon. Okay, so what this is taxa, that is scientific term for category. So what is taxonomy? It is the process of classification. So this is where this might be a little bit confusing. Lot of terms interrelated. So just see properly, pay attention. Classification understood, categorizing. Okay, according to their similarities. Okay, like if you classify certain animals, if I say plants, of course you won't think animals, because I've categorized all the similar looking things into one kingdom, right? Okay, if I say animals, of course you won't imagine plants, because I have categorized similar looking organism or members in that animal kingdom. Then how the other hierarchy levels are also decided? By seeing the similarities and differences. If I say a mammal, what are the characteristics I have chosen, or to see how the members of the mammals should look like? It should have hair, okay, it should have mammary glands. Okay, so you need to have certain ideas and basics on which the classification is done. Okay, so scientific term for that category is taxa or taxon. Then the process of classification is called as taxonomy, because this is the scientific term. So this process has a different scientific name, which is called as taxonomy. Okay, so what are the basics of taxonomy? Okay, like what is this process of classification includes? First, characterization. If I get a new organism, how will I categorize? How will I put into a certain group? What I'll see? I'll see its characters. What is it? How many year? Is it furry? Is it hairy? Okay, the number of tail or number of eyes, all kind of characterization we will do. Then we will identify. If we understood the characteristics, okay, we will identify the organism. Then if I identify the organism, obviously, okay, this is XYZ animal, you will be going into this group. Okay, let's take again example of mammal. Mammal, okay, hairy, presence of mammary glands, other sebaceous sweat glands if I have observed. Other things, okay, you are belonging to mammal group. I'll classify. Then I will name the organism. Then I'll name, okay, you belong to mammal. This is characteristics you have. This is the name I am giving it to you. So this is how the categorization is done, the basis of taxonomy. Now, as you go in higher level, as in go into modern taxonomics, you need to have even knowledge of other like internal development. How is the molecular process that is taking place inside the body? Various other parts of the body, internal, even anatomy is considered when you increase the complexity of taxonomy. In modern taxonomics, you have to see the internal characters as well. Here in characterization, we are seeing the morphological outer part. But if you need more details and more specific categorization, you need to have the knowledge of internal working as well. Okay. So that was taxonomy. So it is said, see, taxonomy is not something that is originated just, few years back. No. This has been something that has been accepted way earlier to reduce the difficulties or to make our works easier. Like when human beings were in search of certain needs, like for food, for shelter, or for clothing, many other needs, they did not just roam about like anywhere randomly. They had the idea that I have classified the sources. Okay, from here, from this region, I will get source of food. From this region or from this things, I will get source of clothing. From this category or this section or this place, I'll get the substance for shelter. So it's something basic which was accepted by human beings way earlier to make the work easier. Okay, otherwise it would have been very difficult to find things for different needs. Okay, then as the studies went on, we even tried to study the relation between different organisms, how they are interrelated, how do they work, how do they are dependent on each other, and that study is called as systematics. Systematic arrangement of organisms. Okay, in this we are learning the relationship between different organisms. We are also establishing evolutionary relationships between different organisms. Okay, like from this XYZ organism have been evoluted from this animal. Okay, there's a total chart which will be seen. We'll study the evolutionary relationship among the organism, and it really helps a lot in study of various living organisms if we know the information from where they have been evoluted. Okay, and that study is called as systematics. Okay, So this all, you, it will look like same or similar, but no, if you understand one term and you try to relate to each other, it will be easier for you to understand. Classification means categorizing thing. Scientific name of categories, taxa or taxon. So what would be the process of classification? It is taxonomy. How do you do taxonomy? First characterization, then you identify, then you classify, then you do the nomenclature. Then another branch, while studying living things, is systematic, the relation between different organisms. So now we'll get into the next topic of the chapter, that is taxonomic hierarchy. Okay, we did discuss about what is classification, what is the need of classification, what is taxon, what do you mean by taxonomy, systematics. These are the things which we discussed in the previous video. Now we'll look at the taxonomic hierarchy level. This is basically a grouping that has been done, where if an organism is identified or selected, how will we decide that it will belong to different categories? Okay, so this is something we have already learnt in our lower classes, but we will again see, there is a reason we are repeating the chapters which we have learned in the lower classes, because this is the base of the subject. Okay, we have come across these terms, we even have different techniques to remember this. If you all remember, like to remember how it goes about, that's kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. Instead of by hearting this, we used to remember a sentence that was, King Philip's considered ordinary family generous and special. Okay, this was a sentence we had used earlier in our classes to memorize this thing, and we have discussed various examples under each categories. Okay, but maybe not in that depth or detail. Okay, so we are learning this in higher classes to ensure that our base is clear and strong. Okay, so let's get into it. So when we read the hierarchy level, it is kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus and species. But the direction we have to go about is from species to kingdom. Okay, while we study different group of animals together, like at the species level, it will give the more correct, clear characteristics of an organism. Okay, I'll tell you. So what happens is that while we go up the hierarchy level, the similarities in the group of organisms decrease. Okay, so when yesterday when I had said, like if I say plant kingdom, there is variety of plants. In that we have groups like herbs, shrubs and big trees. So it again, it is still difficult to learn a whole kingdom. Okay, then as we go down, the groups become smaller and it becomes easier to study, because the characteristics which we are narrowing it down to species, those are similar to each other. The group of animals, or if I say a group of members in a single species, have similar characteristics. So it is easier to study in each a group of organisms. So we'll see, we'll see in detail while taking an example. Okay, so we'll go in the direction which I just